the same living room for several hours. We just want to go outside. So, yeah, I remember growing up in a huge 3-story house, and there was no incentive to go outside, really. So, I think, that's another one of the barriers I feel like we put in place. The real estate market and our pocketbooks also help put that in place, but I actually think it's a good thing, because we're not going to spend all day in our living room. At some point, we're going to get tired of it and get up and go outside. So
that's interesting. I haven't had anyone so far who said, I'm glad I don't have a yard. Everyone's like, I really wish I have a yard. For the people who live in apartments, I really feel like it's a huge detriment that I don't. But I think you're probably right. If those people had yards, maybe they wouldn't go to the park as often, and they wouldn't walk down to the beach because they had an easy sort of...
Yeah.
Do you ever wish that your daughter had any more unsupervised time than she has right now outside?
Yeah, I wish she would, I wish she would have the impetus to just stand up and say, you know what, I'm going to the park.
Yeah.
And she does that sometimes in the summertime, but it's still kind of and how are you going to respond to that sort of thing? And I'm totally fine with it.
Right.
But, yeah, I don't know. I think there might be an only child factor in that too. Like, if she does go to the park by herself, she's by herself.
Yeah.
But if she goes with the 2 boys downstairs, then they're all over it and they're all excited to go up to the park by themselves. So.
Right. Do you find it difficult to find, or does your daughter find it difficult to find playmates like local to her in her area?
No, because our building is phenomenal.
Oh, is it? Oh, good.
Yeah, there are 7 kids in that building, and they play together all the time. We often just leave our door open, and the kids go running back and forth between all the apartments.
Yeah.
But I also think that's another thing about living small and living locally. Like, there's one family in the apartment building that the child goes to lives mostly with his mom, but also goes to his dad's place and goes to his grandparents' place, and so he's not as much a part of the social group of the building as the other kids who are there, some of them 24/7.
Right.
Because apart from the boy I just mentioned, Maya's the only one that goes to school. So some of those, the other kids are homeschooled, and some of the other ones are not old enough to go to school yet.
Right.
But our building is amazing.
Oh,
yeah,
that's lovely. That sounds pretty unique out of the situations that I'm familiar with so far. So that is nice.
Yeah.
Something else that parents have talked about a lot is the idea that the role of a parent today is more complex and more demanding than the role of a parent was in the past, particularly in terms of kids' activities, because you're now the chauffeur and the entertainer and the orchestrator and particularly for kids who don't get any unsupervised time, or for parents who aren't comfortable allowing that, the fact that they have to be there with their kids all the time. Do you feel like there's added pressure for you to be involved in all of her activities, or make sure she's getting certain activities?
I feel like there probably is, but I probably just ignore it. Yeah. I mean, Maya, we ride with her to school, and then she comes home and she'll either be reading or running up to a friend's house and playing with them. I don't feel, because we don't have many activities, she goes to piano lessons and that's it. That's her only scheduled, regular, non-school activity. I don't feel like there's any particular pressure in any direction. But one of the lovely things about our building is we just put up a bench and a little library outside the bench, and so in the summertime the kids wind up playing outside, and then the parents who are inside doing housework say, well, forget this, and we wind up going outside and playing on the bench, and so we wind up being with the kids.
Right.
But we don't really have to be with the kids.
But you don't feel pressured to be.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Any programs or activities that you've participated in that have helped you get outside? So you're enrolled in a school that gets Maya outside a little bit more frequently. Have you ever done any CRD programs or anything like that?
We did a nature sketch club through the Robert Bateman Center.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And I liked the idea of it, but Maya didn't really enjoy it. I think it was very prescribed, or she felt it was very prescribed anyway, what they needed to do, and she just wanted to be outside touching moss and climbing trees and
Right.
stuff.
Right.
And yeah, so I was disappointed with that. Not that it's a bad program. I was just disappointed that it wasn't a good fit, but whatever.
Right.
It's not
Right.
not everything is a perfect fit. But other than that, we haven't really participated
Kind of
in
do your
any.
own thing.
Yeah.
If you could devise in your head what you think would be the ideal program or something that you'd be really interested in seeing or that you think your daughter would be really interested in participating in, does anything come to mind?
I think like hiking with a campfire afterwards.
Right.
And just that kind of thing, like just a group of people getting together and going outside and having fun together. Like, I think, I was talking to one of our neighbors about this. I think our focus in society is so much on, okay, we have 2 hours with the kids, we're going to do the following 9 things. Mm-hmm. And I think it would be wonderful if we could just get kids outside and have maybe a nature guide or something there who wouldn't say we're going to do the following 9 things, but would notice that a kid was poking at the moss and say, oh, and what does this do, and let's explore that, and kind of follow the lead of the children or the parents or whoever. That's what I think would be really amazing. Because I mean, I have some knowledge of the plants and wildlife of our region, but I'm certainly not a botanist or anything. So yeah. Or things where there's a theme and then the leader follows the lead of the children. Like I always remember when we were Maya and I were playing at Cook Street Playground. There's an amazing salmonberry patch right next to the bathrooms. Right. And so every year, like down to the week, Maya will say, "Are the salmonberries out yet?" And I've usually gone walking past and I'll say yes or no, and then we'll go and try to eat as many as we possibly can. And one time, a father came along with his daughter, who was probably about 10, and she saw us eating salmonberries and asked her dad if she could have one, and her dad said, "No, you can't eat that. How? Why would you do that? It might be poisonous." And I said, "No, actually," and I told him a little bit about it, and he just said, "I don't want my daughter eating things off of bushes." I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
Some of my fondest childhood
yes,
memories
exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like, and I can understand, I mean, you don't want your kid thinking, oh, anything that grows on a bush I can eat. I can understand that, but there's just this huge education gap. And I just think there's so many amazing things out there. And if we could just get kids excited about it. Because I think really little kids are naturally curious, and then as they grow older and are more socialized into thinking, ew, dirt, that's disgusting, it's just so sad. But if we could keep the education going, and especially with really little kids and their parents, and if somehow we could take young families out, and maybe the parents have no nature experience, but if there were someone teaching the whole family, well, these are the things that you can eat, and look, isn't this fascinating? Like, somebody to kindle the excitement in the entire family, I think that would just continue. Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm hoping to do this
Hooray!
summer.
Fabulous.
I'm hoping to set up some sort of, I guess you'd call it like a park interpreter, but we're going to do sort of we're piloting a drop-in program, and we're going to try and test a couple different sites in the cities where we're just going to have someone there who is knowledgeable, who, if you want to show up and explore and learn some things, you've got someone there. If you want to just, kind of do your thing and have someone in the background that can pop up and be like, hey, did you know? Yeah. Because I also think that's something else that I've discovered through here. I was trying to figure out what kind of, because the CRD has so many programs, and we do have a lot of things going on in the city that some people access and some people don't, so we're trying to figure out what would work better. And it sounds like having something that's a little bit more passive and self-guided and drop in, but that you have that knowledge base there that you can access. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think one challenge with some of the CRD programs that I've seen is it's very, like, tour guide-ish. And that can work for a certain age group, but it doesn't work for a very big spread. And so you're kind of limiting yourself if you have that approach, I think. Whereas what you're talking about is good for any age, which I think is awesome. Because when we were at Goldstream a few weeks ago, there was park interpreter there who
Yeah.
who was doing exactly that. Oh, did you know such and such about this salmon that just flopped up onto a rock? And
Yeah.
everybody was fascinated. And I mean, every now and then the kids would wander off and do something else, and then they would come back, and then all the parents were talking about what they just heard, and it was just so amazing.
Yeah. I think it's a good point too.